I've just had my best month ever, just shy of 16 or 17,000. And most importantly, I feel very set up in terms of the business and what it looks like to sustain that. As I mentioned, I've got a group program that I'm now running for the second time, which has just kicked off. So I feel like there's a much more stability in terms of the ongoing performance of the business.
All right, welcome to this Fearless Coach Academy case study interview. Today I have a real pleasure to connect with Luke. Somebody who, Luke, we've been working together for a while now, man. So I'm really excited to share your story and your journey and the results that you got these last several months, longer than that, in this interview. So why don't you just start by introducing yourself, kind of, describe who you help, what kind of clients you coach, what problems you solve, and tell us a little bit about you and your coaching business.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for having me, Pete. Really keen to do this and looking forward to chatting too. So, yeah, my name's Luke Maslin. I'm Australian, as you can probably tell by the accent. Based out of a place on the near Byron Bay in Australia called Lennox Head, beautiful coastal beach town. In terms of my business, so I'm a men's health coach. So I specialise in helping men effectively create and optimise health across all areas. And then to express themselves from a performance perspective, both physically, personally, and professionally. So a real mix of holistic health and high performance and merging those two worlds together for people.
I love it, man. You're speaking to my heart, because before I was coaching coaches, I think I shared with you, I used to do peak performance coaching for men, specifically entrepreneurs. And I just found such a powerful connection between people's health and well-being and their performance in business, whether they're in a career or they run their own business. Like when you are prioritizing your nutrition and your health and your sleep, you are optimal. Like you live in an optimal state, right? You can get more done in less time. You have less stress. You can show up better as a partner, as a father, as a husband. So I love, Luke, what you're doing, man. I really do. Yeah. So where was your coaching business at before you started the journey with us in Fearless Coach Academy? Kind of describe to me where you were in terms of clients you were working with, income you were generating when we first started.
Yeah, so my transition into the business, I was working, my corporate background was in recruitment for a long time, and I started my business on the side and then transitioned into it full time a couple of years ago, about months to 2 years ago. And where I was at before I joined the program was I was in a stage where I had a few clients. I was probably making a few thousand a month consistently. So things were starting to pick up and ticking, but I didn't have any consistency in terms of client attraction, client generation, and more importantly, from a revenue perspective. And most importantly, where I was at is that I felt like I really lacked a lot of system and structure in terms of what I was doing with the business. And that was holding me back in terms of what I knew I could create and the impact I could have, because the people that I had worked with had got really great results for. And so I was, suppose, a little frustrated that I wasn't able to take that to more people and serve to the best of my ability and serve as many people as I could.
Okay. So you were working with some people, but not nearly as many as you knew you wanted to. And I was going to ask about kind of the main problem holding you back. And it just sounded like there wasn't structure or systems around lead generation or client generation at that time.
Yeah. Very, very ad hoc in those areas, and very time consuming and energy consuming for me as well.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, because that's something that I'm sure the person watching this can relate. I think that's part of the journey of building a coaching business. But you mentioned time consuming and energy consuming. So like, how is that problem impacting your energy, your mindset, your day-to-day life? How did that show up there?
Yeah, I think for me, there was probably two impacts. There was the actual literal impact on the business, that it was holding me back from generating leads, getting new clients, feeling structured there. But then also, if you like, sort of mentally, emotionally, it was a bit of a roller coaster for me at times in terms of the up and down from a week to week, month to month journey around, where are clients coming from? How am I going to generate them? What's next month going to look like? What is the feeling, I suppose, lacking a bit of control in terms of what the business was doing and how it was going to grow. So that was feeding into my mental and emotional state, and obviously being a health coach myself, and that being a lot about what I help and coach people through, I recognized that wasn't something that was going to be sustainable for me either.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And again, so for you watching this, whether you're with us live or watching the recording of this, know that those feelings are a natural state. of going through the emotion, like the journey of building your coaching business, but it's not a place that you want to stay, right? Because it's a stuck state. And so when you create the system, when you create more structure and you have more flow in your business, it just becomes a lot more fun. So thank you, Luke, for sharing that. When we first started, I remember that there were some concerns, some hesitancy, some fears that you were feeling around joining Fearless Coach Academy, around working together. What were some of those at that time? Can you remember that?
Yeah, absolutely. The big one for me, so I think this is actually something that I speak to a lot of my own clients around as well, is that I had this sense that I could figure out all the answers myself, and that all the information was out there and I could put it together, and I didn't necessarily need help. That was what held me back, or a fear of mine. And I think the fear mainly was just around the level of investment in myself, both financially, what the investment is to work with a coach like yourself in a program like this, but also what that meant in terms of me investing that into the business and the symbolism around that of it. That sort of almost took it from being a hobby to a business and really invested me into it. And so I had fear around what that meant and that level of commitment that it was showing to myself and to the business. And what if that goes wrong? If it doesn't work? What if this program doesn't work? And, I've done all these things and I'm back to square one. So there was just a lot of reluctance and hesitancy and fear around just reaching out and asking for help and saying, I need help and I need someone to support me through. Because for a long time, I recognized that I wanted to get a business coach and I wanted to get someone, but the fear was around all of those things I mentioned of, will it work? What if it doesn't work? What level of commitment is this going to require? What does that mean in terms of me spending that money, investing that, and just the fear around all of that it brought up for me.
That's huge. So it started obviously with just the price, right? That's scary, right? Making that level of commitment, but then it sounds like it was more connected to not just the surface level cost or the price or the investment, but the worthiness of us putting that much money putting that investment towards you, towards your mission, towards your purpose. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And being willing to invest in that, both monetarily and energetically, what's required to be in a program at least and get the most out of it. Because that's the other thing for me. I'm high performing. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. So I think another one of my fears was that by doing this, is it going to actually take me away from other things in my life that I really like and value? But ultimately the decision was that this is the most important thing for me to invest in at this point in time. Therefore, if I feel like this is the right fit for me, then that's what I need to do.
Yeah. And I love that one thing that you personally, Luke, have done is you've maintained your autonomy, meaning like you've taken some of the things that we teach you and you've modeled it, but you've made it your own, which is huge. Because I think for you watching this, whenever you look for a coach, I don't recommend ever blindly following somebody, because their business model may be perfect for them, but it may not meet your needs. You know what I mean? And so to be flexible in doing that, to say, listen, at the end of the day, our business's mission is not only to transform people's lives and impact as many people as possible, but it's to also support the quality of life and the lifestyle that you want to have as a business owner, right? If you're depleted in building this, it's going to be hard to show up powerfully as a coach. But when you build it in a way, and again, there's going to be seasons where things are challenging. I'm not suggesting it's easy, but that's a really, really big piece. Thank you for spending some time here, because I know that that's something that so many people have, is when hiring a mentor, there's fear, there's uncertainty, all of that. I would imagine now that you've experienced that, when you're in conversation with prospective clients yourself, are you able to take a stand for them better because you kind of know what they're experiencing in that moment?
100%. That's been one of the biggest things for me out of it, is I can now talk with absolute credibility and authenticity around the power of making a big investment and a big commitment to yourself. Yeah. And for me, like personally, literally the moment that I decided to invest and work with you and join the program and coach together, things shifted in my business in terms of energetically, but actual results wise, and just things started to flow. It was like a block or a valve was released of the pressure that had built up. And I literally felt that from, basically the moment I made a decision and said, yes, I'm going to do this. And so you're spot on. I have this conversation with a lot of clients or potential clients coming into my programs now, because there is fear, there is risk, there is uncertainty, and to make that commitment can be scary. But but I just talk with credibility. I talk with honesty and transparency and say, look, I've been in that same situation. And you'll often find that once you do make the decision, a lot of that actually starts to melt away for you.
100%. Love that. So what are some, I like asking about three things. Three is like the magic number, right? So what are three things that you've learned during your time in the program that you feel has made the biggest impact on your business or on your life?
Yeah. I think the three things for me, what I suppose it relates to what I really enjoyed around the program is I've learnt the art and science of building a coaching business. And what I mean by that is the psychological side, which is something I'm very interested in, have a lot of background in anyway, but really upskilling in that and understanding in terms of, leading clients through enrollment conversations, how to actually structure that, how to ask the right questions. So that's the big learning for me. Although I felt like I had a decent knowledge base in the area, that's been a huge learning for me, the psychology of sales basically and building a business. And also the psychology of sales, but also building a business and managing the ups and downs and the ebbs and flows. So that's been a real big learning for me. I think secondly, just actually how to get, simple but powerful systems and structures, whether it be, funnel, lead magnet generation, these things that really drive the system that then allows you to drive people into the business and make them aware of you, basically. So getting some more system and structure around that is the third thing that I've learned. And then probably another thing that I've learned or had reinforced is also the power of a group community dynamic and aspect, and being involved in a program where there's other people going through a similar thing and a similar journey, and being able to bounce off ideas, challenges, lessons, wins, etc. That's been something that has been a learning, but also a reinforcement for me. It's something that I now really, again, use in my own business, because that's a model that I run with my own coaching programs, is that group piece and how powerful that can be for people. So that's been a really great personal learning for me. And then also actually literally how to run those type of programs and how to manage them and how to make them flow. So I'm just going through that process now of getting up and going, and that's been invaluable for me as well.
I love that, Luke. There's so much magic in group coaching. And again, I'm not suggesting that you don't do one-on-one, right? You've got some one-on-one clients. I've got some one-on-one clients, but there's a collective energy that happens in the group. And when you build it the right way, there's an added value of association of the members associating with each other, and an added value of accountability. Because when you make a public declaration in a group, right, not only are you saying that to yourself and to you, your mentor, but they're also saying it to their peers. And that peer accountability can create even more skin in the game. So I love that you've experienced that, you see that, because again, you'll always, and I know I'll always work with people at a certain level one-on-one, but to have a group, that's also going to create more freedom for you, and for you watching this, having a group model when done right can create a lot more freedom than a one-on-one model ever will. So, and thank you for sharing about the blend between psychology, like mindset, and strategy, because those are two really important things. When looking for a mentor, make sure that somebody can support you on both of those things, and that program supports you on both of those things. Because, we could give the best tactics or strategies in the world, but if the psychology isn't there to actually go implement, because we've got the imposter syndrome, or because there's fear and there's uncertainty, whatever that is, then the things that need to get implemented won't. And then vice versa, if it's just psychology where it feels good, but there's not tactical stuff that you can implement, then that's a problem too. So having a blend of both. So I want to just, what I'm most curious about and what I'd love to hear are, what are some of the results that you've gotten from implementing, everything that you've learned in Fearless Coach Academy? And results, Luke, could be clients that you're working with, revenue you've generated, but what would you like to kind of share about that?
Yeah. I think from a results perspective, I mean, purely in terms of the business and where that's at from a, numbers commercial perspective. So, my journey in the program, and I've spoken quite openly about this, like I came in, there was a big shift, and I had a period of growth over a few months, and then that flattened out for a period of time. And you might get this, but my learning around that was that I just got away from the process, and I got away from the plan, and I got distracted by other things that weren't necessarily on the plan. So now, months down the track, I can see that in hindsight. So the results that I got, like I said, immediately once I got into the program and I was clear and I started executing, then, my revenue, I had my best month the first month in, another one in the second and third, and then it started to flatten out a little bit. But in the last couple of months, again, since getting really back on track and focused and real clarity in terms of the roadmap and actually just focusing on that, I've just had my best month ever, just shy of 16 or 17,000. And most importantly, I feel very set up in terms of the business and what it looks like to sustain that. As I mentioned, I've got a group program that I'm now running for the second time, which has just kicked off. So I feel like there's a much more stability in terms of the ongoing performance of the business. And the other results I've got as well is sort of related more to the psychology side. Like I said, is just a really clear, confident, much more confident around the sales process, managing the sales process, dealing with clients, managing clients, having challenging conversations with clients. These are all things that I've actually got quite a strong background in, but the results that I've seen from being in this program have really just taken all that stuff to the next level for me. So that's really what I've seen so far in terms of results.
I love it, Luke. That's awesome. Obviously, it's always great to celebrate, right, wins of 16 or 17,000 in a month. That's extraordinary. But also to just know that you have the experience, the expertise, the skills, and the commitment now, right, to take a vision that you have. Like that's what it blows my mind more than anything else. That's what gets me most excited, is that like we are creators at the highest level. Like we're taking a vision of what we have, of people that we feel we really, feel called to help with. And we're creating structure to it around something that didn't exist, right? There was a time in your life, man, that you weren't coaching. This wasn't a business and a calling for you. Yeah. So I think it's magical that you implemented that. And I think that's a really important lesson as well, of noticing that there was a dip right in your journey. And that was a dip when, you said you kind of pulled away from the process, or you were focused on other things, and then recommitting and reconnecting to it resulted in just this past month being your best month ever. So
yeah, for sure. And I think that's a really good point you mentioned around the mission piece and being clear on that, because I've always had that strength of mission, but throughout the course of being involved so far in the program, that's really got stronger and stronger, and it's never been stronger than it is for me right now. And part of that is around my own work, but part of it is around the confidence that this program has given me around how I can actually fulfill that mission and how I can deliver on that. Yeah. So there's sort of the fire of it all, but there's also the practicality of, okay, I'm much clearer now on how that's going to work and how I'm going to actually serve people and what that's going to look like. Yeah. So that's been a huge result for me as well.
Love it. Awesome. So you've been in Fearless Coach Academy for a while now. Who would you recommend this program to? How would you describe the person that you think would get the most value from this?
Yeah, there's, as I've been exposed to, there's lots of different types of coaches in the program, whether it be health, finance, relationship, there's plenty of things. So I don't think it's specific to any particular one type of coach, but I feel like it's someone who is, at a stage of their journey where they have an understanding of what they want to do, sort of how they want to do it, but it's just, there's a gap in terms of them being able to actually go and fulfill on what they know they're capable of. Mm-hmm. And maybe they're a bit like me in terms of, lacking the system or the structure, or they feel like they've got lots of information, but not really sure how to put that all together. I feel like that's who this program is really powerful for. And people that, like I mentioned before, that are after that all-round support from a coaching program. Yes, it's about system and structure and funnels and lead generation and sales pages and things like that, but also the other half of it as well. In fact, probably more than half of it, in terms of that, the psychology basically of building a business and building a sales organization, basically. So I'm someone who's looking for that support. And people that are just, really curious, open-minded, driven, and like that, enjoy that group dynamic as well, and sort of thrive off that. If someone is that way inclined, they're going to get a lot out of this program.
Love that. Yeah, driven and open-minded, super, super important. It's not fun to coach somebody who is in that kind of what we call fixed-minded space. So knowing that there's probably other coaches that are thinking about potentially Fearless Coach Academy, and they may even be feeling what you felt when we first started. What would you say to them? Coaches that may feel fear around the investment or around, hiring a coach, anyone that's on the fence, is there anything that you would say to them?
I think and I can relate it to my own journey, and he's touched on it earlier. Like when I was looking at coming into this program, I was considering a few different options, and I'm a little bit risk averse by nature in terms of making decisions around that type of thing. So, my advice for someone considering it would be to really, I suppose, feel into if it is right for you. And ultimately, you're going to know that within you, and I'd encourage you that once you can feel into that, the other stories that you might be telling yourself around the time or the money or whatever it might be, understand that they're probably just a story. And what was great from your perspective is that you supported me and gave me the time and space to work through that decision-making process before coming on board. I didn't feel pressured at all. We had, a couple of conversations. You held me, you held up the light to what I maybe needed to see, but I never felt pressured or rushed at all in terms of making decisions. So my advice or guidance to someone in that situation would be, do your due diligence, ask your questions, but at the end of the day, if you feel like it's right for you and something's telling you it's right, then I'd encourage you to not let those other stories that you might tell yourself hold you back from investing in yourself and getting involved and doing it.
That right there is like, that's a coaching masterclass right there. Seriously. That is something that I think so few people do today, is that we are so distracted. We have so many people and things pulling at our time that we often don't give ourselves permission to take time to feel how a decision is gonna, to check in with the feelings of a decision or a choice or a commitment. It's amazing. One of my best friends, Sean Stevenson, Luke, I talk about him a lot. He would say that our fears shout and our intuition whispers. And what I heard from you right there is to slow down and to kind of listen to and feel into the intuition, your gut feeling, because our fears of not having enough money or all that's surface level stuff. And that's going to be really loud. But when you focus on the deeper feeling, that's where the truth is, and trusting that. Right. So,
yeah.
And you get to support clients when you're on calls with them in connecting to that as well. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Brother, that was beautiful, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. It's been an amazing journey, and it's going to continue to be an amazing journey. I want to thank you for taking the time to share your story and your journey with us today. And for anyone watching this, if you do want to explore what it would look like for us to help you, then I'd love to offer you and invite you to schedule a call with us. We offer what we call a brainstorm call. It's a short 20-minute call where we can just jump on a Zoom call and explore if or how we can help you, and then actually map out a whole 3-step game plan for growing your own coaching business. If you'd want to explore that conversation, then a simple invitation, if you're watching this on our page, then just scroll below the video. There's a little survey there. It shouldn't take you more than a minute. I just ask that you fill out a couple of questions. That way we kind of know about your business and your situation. And once you hit submit, you can schedule a call. You'll get on our calendar. And yeah, we just want to explore if or how we can help you and help you map out the game plan. And if we can't, we'll do our best to recommend somebody else. But if we can, we'll kind of map out what it would look like for us to support you in Fearless Coach Academy. So Luke, brother, again, thank you so much for being on this and taking the time to share your story today.
My pleasure. And I just want to say to you, Pete, thank you for all the amazing work that you and Coach Campo and the rest of the community, as I said, that's been a big piece for me, have done over the last, 6 or so months. I'm really grateful and thankful for it. And to echo what you said, if you're watching this and you're thinking that it could even be something you're interested in, just have the conversation. Have a conversation and see if it's right for you. If it is, great. If not, then that's all good as well. But just take that first step. That's what I tell my clients, is take that first step and have the conversation. And for me, I can only say how grateful I am and thankful for everything that the Academy's done for me so far. And I'm excited about where it goes from here as well.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you a lot. All right. I'll see you soon. Okay.